life is really busy, and because of that, you need to prioritize certain things.
Yeah.
You can't put part of your attention towards everything and expect that they're all going to flourish fully.
Yeah.
You need to prioritize what is most important to you, and your marriage should be one of those top priorities.
Absolutely.
It's not our marriage just doesn't work that way. It's you committed to this.
Yep.
You guys
You need to put
said
in the
vows. There's a reason you got married. Marriage is a step. It is a commitment.
Yep.
You committed to this, and therefore you need to make it a priority. So no matter who you are, your marriage should be a priority, and it's harder to make it a priority in today's busy world, which is why we need to put extra effort into it. We are back,
Yeah.
ready to roll.
We are the Roots.
We are the Roots. This is the You, Me, Us Together podcast. And we're just happy you guys are all here.
Yeah.
Happy for that any one of you is listening. We're just happy to have you in our lives, even if we've never met you before.
Yeah. If we haven't, you could reach out and introduce yourself. We would enjoy that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
This is episode
That was so smooth they wouldn't even see it.
15.
You have to say things for people not watching.
I know.
Episode 15!
I was doing a little show for the people that were watching.
Yeah, I know. You get special perks when you watch on YouTube.
Yeah. Episode 15.
Yeah.
And, you know what? The special about this episode? It's our first Wednesday episode.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
exciting.
Feel privileged. You're listening to the first Wednesday episode ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a good one.
Yep. What are we talking about?
We're talking about why we need to be prioritizing our marriage in just this busy lifestyle that everyone has nowadays.
Yeah.
Life is just, it's insane for everyone.
Yeah. I think, why don't we start off with busyness? Let's just talk about busyness for a minute.
Yeah.
And where busyness comes from, why everyone is so busy right now. I don't know if you want to start off with that.
Yeah. It seems like nowadays, like in today's culture and society, just busyness is normal. Life just has a lot more to it nowadays, and there's a lot more things drawing our, like, asking for our attention.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that has to do with just, like, the digital age just has a lot more, I don't know.
There's just more things coming at us all the time, right?
Things flying around, floating around. There's a lot more people to interact with. There's a lot more things to see. There's a lot more
information to learn.
Information. Yeah, more than ever before. And it's, to me, it's a little overwhelming if I'm being completely honest. But it just keeps life busy.
Yeah.
Also, something that I know you've talked about a few times is that people tend to wear busyness as a badge of honor nowadays.
Absolutely.
And it's
like
you think you're better than somebody else because you're busier.
Well, and it's just those interactions you can see it. It's like, you talk to someone, they're like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And you're like, "Oh, busy. I'm super busy." And they're like, "Oh, that's great." And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those typical answers that's like when people say, "How are you doing?"
Yeah.
You're usually like, "Good." But now it's like you could say good, you could say I'm busy. And they're like the same thing where it's like this is just the answer that you give.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I would say that actually relates to people saying I've been super busy so that they cover themselves when they're not able to meet with other people, right? When they're not able to make time for other people.
Yeah.
Even though I would say a lot of us have more downtime than we realize.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of time where we're sitting scrolling or we're watching Netflix or we're whatever, right? There's a lot of people spending so much time on that and we just don't even realize it because we're in this trance or something. That's what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is going to be all about, like, how do we figure out how to get out of that? Right?
Yeah.
building new habits, new rhythms, and how do we actually create those habits that are going to build our marriage, build ourselves up, right? How am I going to make a habit of doing something that's actually going to be beneficial to me rather than just filling my mind with junk or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I would say it's all the distractions around us I would say they're like white noise.
Mm-hmm.
They're just there, right? Someone mentioned to us in one of our groups recently, they're like, yeah, I have my phone out during
while watching
TV.
Yeah.
Right? And I have it out and I'm literally mindlessly flipping through my TikTok or whatever, right? But you're not actually watching either with your full attention. And so you're like missing pieces or
this friend said that they scroll while they're watching TV and it's not that they're not paying attention to either. They're paying attention to the TV, not their phone.
Yeah.
But they like need something to keep themselves busy.
It's like that fidget.
And so
keep your hands busy.
And so like in a situation like that, I would suggest maybe you find something that you can do while you're watching TV. Like our sister-in-law Kirsten, she's kind of that way. Like she doesn't like to sit still and just watch the TV. And so she really likes puzzles. And so she always does a puzzle while they're watching TV. And so she's still watching the TV and keeping her hands busy so she can like focus better. But it's not, it doesn't seem as
obtrusive or something.
Yeah, like if someone's on their phone, it a lot of times seems like they're ignoring you.
Yeah, it portrays this negative thing.
Yeah. And we all, I'm sure there's been studies about screen time, and I'm not going to say don't do any screen time, but if you're on 2 at once, it's probably not very good for you.
Right.
And I've realized that too. I'm not trying to bash anyone who does that. I do that too.
And we both do. Yeah.
I realize when I'm watching a show by myself, I'm usually scrolling on my phone, and I catch myself, put it down, and a few minutes later, I realize I'm back on it, and I didn't even realize that I picked it up, went straight to Instagram, and I'm just scrolling while watching because
it's this habit that all of us as a society, I would say, has built, and it's crazy. It's like this unprecedented thing that people could have never guessed would happen.
Yeah, and I think all the busyness has trained us to be like more fidgety.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like we can't slow down and just sit and watch TV.
Yeah,
or we can't. Like I have a hard time sitting in silence. I'm like, there needs to be noise. There needs to be something going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, when was the last time you sat in a room with the TV off, your phone not near you, like no music on, anything, just sat, maybe listened to the wind going outside or whatever other, just sitting, right, with nothing going on. It almost like for most people now it like drives you crazy. Like,
it does.
I gotta do something.
I can't even drive without music on.
Yeah.
And especially as Christians, as believers, I feel like it's a skill we need to learn to sit in silence.
Yeah.
And I'm not good at that at all. I'm going to be totally honest. I'm not good at that. I don't know if you feel like you're okay at that or not.
I'm better than most because it just doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah, it bothers me. But I think the busy lifestyle of today's society has made it so our ears aren't open to hear what God has to say to us, and our eyes aren't open to see Him moving.
Absolutely.
And so learning to be okay sitting in that silence every once in a while and knowing that that's not bad. Because people are like, I'm not doing anything, therefore I'm useless right now.
For sure. And
it's like, no. You can be used in the silence, in the relaxation.
Yeah.
You can, because those are the times when God usually can speak to us well, and just being open to spending time with Him and hearing Him. And like, how often do you ever just sit and listen? Never.
Never.
I never do it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good thing to know how to do.
Yeah, it is for sure.
And it's hard to do, and it's kind of looked down upon.
Right.
In just the busy lifestyle. It's like you're
not doing anything?
Yeah.
Really?
It's like you seem lazy. You seem... Yeah. People are going to look down on you because you're not... you're not working towards something or...
Yeah. So how does this... Let's transition a little bit into... How does this relate to our marriage, right?
Right.
We're talking about just as individuals, we can recognize where the busyness is, right? How is that affecting our marriage? And then we also want to talk about how is that actually going... what are some things that we can implement to reduce these interrupts in our relationship, right?
Right.
Because I would say our phones are a big one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially, like, for us, we're on TikTok a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
We love TikTok. But...
yeah, we do.
it's a huge interrupt for us, right? And we'll miss parts of conversations between the two of us. We will completely zone out and not even hear what the other has to say. We will sit in the same room for hours and not interact with each other, whatever, right?
It makes us grumpy towards each other sometimes, too.
It can.
At least I know for me, I'm like, really? I haven't seen you all day and you choose to come in and sit and scroll instead of talking to me. Like, do you not want to be around me?
And that's hard. That's a hard one, right? Because I have built this habit, and it's something I need to break. But I really feel like, I've been out in the shop all day. I haven't even touched my phone. It's still at 90% when I come in the evening.
Yeah, you're like, that's not okay. It should be lower.
Well, and it's not even about the battery percentage, but it's like, I feel like I've missed so much. That's a big thing, right? I've just missed all the things.
Oh, we've heard that from...
Yeah, Aaliyah, one of our friends.
Yeah, I've heard it from a few of our friends that decided for Lent that they were going to fast from social media.
Yeah.
And several of them said it wasn't even the part that... like just not getting on it that was hard for me. It was that I felt like I was missing out on everything.
Yeah.
Because I'd be around my family members and they would say, did you see this thing that this person posted? And you're like,
nope.
No. But that's something else I noticed. It's like, can we not talk about those things anymore? And it's like, did you see what they posted? Instead of saying, did you hear that this person had a birthday?
Use a few more words.
It's
but
like...
it's all about the pictures and the videos. Like, did you see that really cool video? Like, no, I didn't. Right?
You feel really left out if you're not in it.
For sure. So, I would say recognizing the interrupts between the two of you, right? So, a lot of people get in the habit of TV time in the evenings, right?
I mean, we're in that habit.
Yeah, we are. And we almost never eat dinner at the table. I can probably count on one hand how many times we've eaten dinner at our dining table.
The dining table is for breakfast only.
It's our breakfast nook, even though we live in 350 square feet.
We only use it for breakfast, and for dinner we sit on the couch with... We don't even have TV trays. No. We use stools because they're multi-purpose. They can be a TV tray or you can sit on it.
Yep.
Which, now that I think about it, that might be a little gross that we're eating from where people put their butts, but
I wipe them off pretty often.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It builds immunity.
We don't have a lot of other people in our house, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, but anyway, we sit on the couch. That's where we eat dinner, and it's always a question every night. Not where do you want to sit, it's what do you want to watch.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's right? It's like we are just conditioned, right? We're in this habit of we're both going to sit and watch a TV show. And I would say that's not a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying TV is bad.
But I would say that every night can create having this habit of every night we do this. Mm-hmm. Can create problems.
And it lowers the intimacy.
It lowers your intimacy. Even though you're sitting side by side and you can touch more and you can do all that.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
Because you're not looking at each other in the eyes. You're not having meaningful conversation about your day. Right? Mm-hmm. That's one of the biggest advantages of sitting and having dinner together.
Mm-hmm.
Is you can kind of decompress to, maybe not decompress, what's the word I'm looking for?
Decompose.
Where you can
I'm sorry, no.
We're not plants. Basically where you can unload all the stuff from your day. Not unload onto one another, but like just talk through your day with one another, because there's immense value in doing that. Like, it gives you the opportunity to bring up things like, I really struggled with this thing today, and that's kind of why my mood is the way it is,
Yeah.
And it really allows us to have those interactions, and maybe you have something to say about this thing I'm struggling with that I had never thought of.
True.
And so it really builds the emotional intimacy between us, even if we're not sitting right next to each other cuddling. It's like we're able to really build our relationship past physical and just mundane interactions that you just have when you live together.
Yeah.
It really is a great connecting point, and it's the interrupt is sitting at watching TV, and another interrupt, right? Maybe you've moved from sitting on the couch to sitting at the table, but you both are sitting staring at your phone, right? Scrolling. You're not talking, right? And it's funny
you see
because
so many people at restaurants like
yes,
that. Like, next time you go to a restaurant, look around and see how many people are sitting on their phones.
Yes, even in line, right? We were standing in Chipotle the other day, and it was probably 2 months ago. Anyway, we were standing in line, super long line. It was a Sunday afternoon, and it's like literally maybe 98% of the people were sitting staring at their phones, or, well, I guess that was about it, right?
Yeah.
And the only person that wasn't was, well, I was standing around watching in awe, because I realized we don't get out in that kind of public setting as much as I thought we did. It was like a shock to me. I don't even know why. But it was me, and then some old person that didn't even have a phone. So
yeah. It's like even the people in front of us, there were 3 young kids, like probably 10, 11, 12 age, like, and they were all on their phones too.
Yep.
And it's, like I said, like, we can't sit in silence. We can't stand in silence. Like, we have to be doing something.
Interacting with
people
something.
People can't
whatever.
just stand in line and wait.
I know.
You have to, I need to be doing something. Something needs to have my attention. I can't just stand here. It's driving me crazy.
And I would say this, not just to the married couples, but to Christians, that if you are in that habit of being on your phone in public places when you're not doing whatever you are out there to do, right? I would say it really takes away from allowing God to work, because it makes it so that you are not going to see people that may be distraught or need you to intervene or whatever. It really reduces the likelihood that you're going to run into someone and maybe affect their whole life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this is a real problem. And we don't do that good at it.
Yeah.
We would like to do better. I would say, so what prompted this podcast was our schedule right now is crazy busy. Simply because I had a job come up, and so this job is going to last a whole month. And we're trying to cram in all these things, right? I have to do a week of prep before the job. That's next week. This week, I'm trying to finish projects here so that we are ready to then do prep and be prepared for the weeks away from home, right? And so we have just recognized that we have to say no to a lot more things, and we really have to be super intentional with the time we have together, right? And I actually feel like we've been able to be closer in some senses because we've had to be super intentional about our scheduling together, right? looking at our calendar together and are like, wow, I haven't seen you all day. What is going on? What are you thinking about?
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling? All this stuff.
Yeah.
What?
Can I actually back up a bit?
Go
I
ahead.
had something to say about the
Yeah, I'm sorry.
eating on the couch. That's a little farther back
no,
there.
that's okay. Go ahead. I was rolling.
You were, and that's why I didn't stop you. I did want to say that I wanted to point out, even if both of your love languages aren't quality time, it's not something either of you really care about, you still need to have intentional time together.
Yeah.
Every marriage needs intentional time together, even if quality time isn't important to you. And so I just thought, like, I'm sure there's someone out there thinking, we can watch TV every night because quality time isn't important to us. And it's like, you still need to talk. You still need to be intentional. Yeah. And I know there's also the couples out there that, even if they wanted to sit and talk more, they don't really know how to do that. And it's really uncomfortable for them. And they don't have anything to say. It's not easy for everyone to just sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's something Noah and I have struggled with a lot, especially in our dating years. Maybe early marriage a bit too, and the reason that we feel like we can just sit down and just start talking is because it has taken we put a lot of practice into it and a lot of work into it. It's not a skill that comes naturally to everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
but it is a skill.
It is.
It's something you can learn to do, and despite what your love language is, it is something that will bless your marriage, learning how to have meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
Because I would say even a lot of couples that they're like, we just don't talk that much because we fight all the time, right? The reason that they feel like they're fighting all the time is they don't know each other's communication styles. They don't know how to have a healthy conversation between the two of them, and so they're like, yeah, we just are always fighting.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah. And
so that's definitely something to spend some time on, is put yourself in some uncomfortable situations. If you and your spouse are just in this place where it's like, I just don't have words, put yourself in situations where there's nothing else to do, right? Go camping where you don't have cell service, right? Yeah, try and build a fire on a windy day and it's drizzling rain together. It's a good marriage building exercise.
Have we done that before? I feel like you're speaking from experience, and I don't remember doing that.
I just, it's in the past.
We'll try it someday. Wait, did we do that?
Not that exact scenario, but...
Oh, okay.
We've learned a lot about how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
In harder situations.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
And I feel like we mention a lot of times, don't just do the, hey, how was your day? Good. Hey, how was your day? Good.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that is a bad question to ask, but it's not a bad question to ask. That's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
When you're talking to your spouse at the end of the day, the thing that gets people is they're not willing to be intentional with their answers.
Yes.
So it's okay to ask that question, but make sure that when the question is asked to you, that you actually think through and give it a thoughtful answer, not just a surface level, it was good.
And I would say, even on the flip side, if you are asking the question, how was your day? Maybe ask it more like, hey, I remember you said you had that meeting today. How did that go?
Yeah, ask specifics.
Right? Was this person here? Right? So it then opens this door of you have to pay attention to the things that your spouse says about maybe things that go on at work. You have to pay attention so that then you can ask the right questions and build that intimacy that way.
Yeah. Ask specifics. If you don't know anything about their day, then you could, instead of just saying, how was your day, you could say, tell me one thing that was really great about your day, and tell me one thing that was really hard about your day.
Yeah. Yeah. We can go very simple if that's what people need. But
Yeah.
obviously, there's just layers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to start somewhere. If you are at like, I just don't even know how to talk to this person, then maybe you need to start way back here. But moving forward, right, you then are able to grow together and be like, man, we can have really deep, meaningful conversations. And they don't have to be deep all the time either.
No.
We're not saying you have to have these super meaningful, high-level conversations all the time. Like, we will sit and have dinner and then play a game together, and the words that come out of our mouth don't really matter. Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. Sometimes it's good to just laugh and have fun, and it's like we're just being together and doing this together.
Mm-hmm. And if you really struggle to have conversation, I know we mentioned this before, but getting some sort of, like, this is a book, like a conversational starter book.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any, like, apps out there.
I'm sure there are.
We should look that up.
Yeah.
But something to, like, start conversations. So we really like this book because there's 3 books in one. But it just has a bunch of questions.
Yep.
For conversational starters, and it's taught us to just be more comfortable being around each other, more comfortable just talking to each other, because I'll ask you like a very specific question, like describe a favorite childhood vacation. What was it that made the getaway special?
Yeah.
It's a specific question that you need to think through and give an answer, and then I can kind of, I don't know, it just taught us how to like not just how to start a conversation, but how to be in conversation and keep it with each other.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great resource. There are apps out there. I think there's one like called the Intimacy app that I've tried before. I don't know. If you just look up, like Google it, you will find things.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we'll have to develop a conversational app or something someday.
I know I just feel for people that are like that because we used to be like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not anymore not because it just we grew out of it, but because we worked out of it.
Absolutely. And I would say too, we've heard some people say that like when they get home when they get home from work, their spouse is like drilling them with questions and like just wants to be all over them and all this.
Their kids are all over them, wanting their attention.
Absolutely. So I would say definitely, if you need decompression time, figure out a habit and have an understanding with your spouse and say, I need to decompress when I get home from work before anything else.
Yes.
So that I can come out and be 100% with you.
Yes. But make sure that decompression time is reasonable.
Yes.
I just got home from work. You're stressing me out, so I need to decompress every day by playing 3 hours of video games.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, by that time, how much time do you actually have left for your spouse? Probably less time than you spent playing video games, which means that they are going to feel less important
than that. Yeah.
And they're going to feel like, oh, the video games are more important to them than me.
Absolutely.
So it's something that you need to, just like anything, just communicate about.
Yep, and learning that balance for sure. Because some people, it's going to be different for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I love tinkering and having some of my own music. So headphones are really good for me.
Headphones are very good for you because your music stresses me out.
I like metal. Kangaroo does not.
He listens to metal and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm trying to relax. And I was like, what?
But yeah, I just tinker. And it really helps me kind of transition from work mind into home mind.
Yes.
Essentially. That's the big thing. I feel like we kind of strayed from busyness.
Yeah.
So let's get back to...
We were talking about how we needed to be more intentional with our schedules with our busy month coming up.
Yes. So our busy month is crazy. And really trying to nail down like everything we try to schedule right now is... we have to check in with each other. Like, hey, can I do this with this person? They asked. I know we only have 2 weeks till we have to leave, but I feel this has been put on the back burner until this week, and they reached out to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? Let's figure out a time to work that in. Or it's like, I need you to tell them, I'm really sorry, but this needs to be next month. And I will be the one to reach out to you. Or something like that. Because it's really... We're really trying to figure out how to prioritize each other, but still balance the other things, right? I have a ton of work to do before we go to this job. A ton of work, and I know that it overwhelms you to think about all this stuff that I need to do, and you make excuses for me, right? You say, oh, I know you have tons of work to do because you're overwhelmed by the list of things I need to do, that you say, just stay out in the shop as long as you need, take as many days as you need.
I think I'm loving you by giving you the freedom.
But I would say, as the man in the relationship, it is my duty to have a good gauge of where everything is at, right? And so if it's my job to recognize the brand needs work, right? YMU, I have to put work into that before we go to this job, because I may not have time to work on it while I'm at the job. Obviously, stuff for the job needs work, and I will work on that as I can this week, because I scheduled next week to be mostly for that. Also stuff for us, right? Yeah. I probably haven't done the best job, but I'm really trying to make sure that we are still able to do things, the two of us, and have our alone time together, and really have our check-ins, and really try and make sure that we are good amidst all the craziness.
Yeah.
So hopefully that makes sense. The biggest thing is, I think it's the husband's job, for the most part, to make sure that he has a feeler of the temperature of every piece of your situation in life. And if you don't understand where your wife is at, then you need to ask her those questions, so that you do have a good scope of the whole project. The whole project of life, right? Your whole life, you have a really good understanding of where all that stands, so that you can then make decisions for your family and say, I know we really needed to do this, I need to do this, so why don't we figure out a way to do both, or whatever, right?
Yeah. And it's also, I think the wife also needs to be in tune with that too, not just the husband, and not fall into the it's all up to him, and then when things don't happen, you're mad at him.
Of course.
Or I needed to go to coffee with someone, but we didn't even talk about this, or you made this decision without even asking me, and now I can't do the things I need to do.
Yeah.
A marriage isn't supposed to be, you're in charge, I just need to learn how to follow everything that you decide to do.
My point in saying it the way I did was, I'm making decisions that I believe are best for our family. And so, but amidst that, I need to know how to communicate well to you and say, I need you to take care of these things, because this is what I think needs to happen to get everything done in this stage of life.
I know, I was just trying to...
But yes,
to clarify.
I completely agree with you.
A lot of it is communication between the two of you.
Yeah.
Not one person makes these decisions, the other person makes these decisions. It's
Absolutely.
We make most decisions together, and a decision that literally can't be made together, you have to be able to have enough trust in your spouse to know that they'll make the right decision.
Yeah. Yep. So, anyway, this is a lot to unpack.
Yeah. I feel like we're trying to pick very narrow topics, but we keep picking broad topics instead.
So, we may have to do a part 2, because this is way over. But our big picture for today is taking time for just the two of you amidst the craziness.
Yes.
Right? Even if the craziness is just your kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even if you have work craziness and you have kids, especially young kids,
Mm-hmm.
and you have you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Realizing that time as a family with just your kids is not enough.
Yeah.
You need one-on-one mommy daddy time.
That sounds really weird.
But it's real, right?
Yeah.
You need it even more than you did when life wasn't as crazy, because this is our support system. It's you, me, and the big guy upstairs.
Yeah.
That's God.
I know. I'm not.
We don't live in a basement. There's no big guy above us. Anyway, so yes, learning to figure out where our time together fits amongst.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
The main point I feel like we're getting to is life is really busy, and because of that, you need to prioritize certain things.
Yeah.
You can't put part of your attention towards everything and expect good to come out of it. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, I can't only put half of my energy into everything and expect that they're all going to flourish fully.
Yeah.
You need to prioritize what is most important to you, and your marriage should be one of those top priorities.
Absolutely.
It's not a our marriage just doesn't work that way. It's you committed to this.
Yep.
You guys
You need to put
said
in
vows. There's a reason you got married instead of just staying dating. Like, marriage is a step. It is a commitment.
Yep.
You committed to this, and therefore you need to make it a priority.
Yeah.
It's so no matter who you are, your marriage should be a priority, and it's harder to make it a priority in today's busy world, which is why we need to put extra effort into it.
Yeah. So I would say an action point from today is maybe do an audit of your time.
Mm-hmm.
Because last time I did it, it was like, man, I spend way too much time on my phone, and we watch a lot more TV than I thought.
I don't think I've ever done that, actually.
Right?
So.
It's a super eye-opening practice. I think it's great to do every year at least, but every few months even, just to really get a gauge of where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And it can show you where you're putting more time and where you're not, and where you need to be moving things around to actually balance everything out.
Yeah.
Well.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, anyway, I think that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to maybe the two of us will just discuss and write down any specific points that we wanted to
dive deeper into,
and either, depending on how deep we need to go on them, make another podcast on busyness, or we'll just put them on social media. So if you're not following us, you're missing out.
Yeah.
We post a lot on there that our podcast is very different from social media.
Yeah, it is, for sure.
So.
Yeah, and I would say too, if there were any questions that were prompted in this episode, definitely reach out to us, because we are happy to email you some answers to questions. We are happy to take your question and actually talk about it on a podcast episode or on a social media post or whatever. If depending on what the question is, if it's super personal, we are happy to just talk individually with people.
If you feel like, I want to ask you a question, but it's really personal and I don't want everyone else to hear it, we will respect that. Yeah. We're not
we will use our discretion, obviously.
Yes. So.
And so, yeah, reach out to us. You can email us through our website. We have a contact us page. Mm-hmm. You can actually just email us too. It's info@ymutogether.com. You can email us there and we will get back to you that way, or just DM us on any social media platform.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about it.
Awesome.
So,
until next time, until we get through this busyness.
Yep.
No.
We will see you
Yeah.
on Monday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Monday or Sunday?
Whenever. Next week.
We're not on the same page for when we
know.
need. We know this podcast is going to be posted on Wednesdays, but the other one during the week, we haven't gotten on the same page yet of when it should be.
Yeah.
I thought it was Sunday. You keep saying Monday, and
We'll just
we're going
figure
to
it out.
communicate about it in a healthy way.
Maybe we'll actually talk about it like we keep saying we should do.
Yeah.
So, till next time.
All right. See you later.
Bye.